set? Perfect. Let's bring the meeting to order, 7:01, shall we? Thanks, Nick, for pulling the application from before.
Yep.
Thank you, really appreciate that. And providing the packets of information we have. We have a very full agenda. Please bear with us as we get through it. We have no meeting minutes from last time to go through, so we'll just put that aside. Under old business, we have discussed the draft shoreline building application and draft instruction sheet. I would recommend we do that at the end of the meeting, since we have applicants here. Maybe get through their business first, if the board is in agreement with that. Yes. And then next up would be Gary Hilliard's subdivision amendment. Take that on. Gary, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know you've spoken with Gary Fuller about this, and
I basically had a subdivision that was approved several years ago. And I have 4 lots, one sold in it, that's where I live. And I would like to eliminate one of the lots beside my house lot, and just make that one lot. I can do that. I'd like to eliminate lot 6, if you see that on there.
We don't see lot 6.
We don't see the one. This is what was approved in 2007.
No, there's one beyond that. This is an old version. This is a revised, it shows those 4 lots, and it also shows these lots. Finally, I'll call this one Drive.
So lot 6 is now the big area.
So, this is current day.
So this doesn't matter, it's right here.
Yeah.
So you want to eliminate this one?
No, right here, there's 2 lots. There's 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I've had this drawn without lot 6 in it. But somewhere you've got this exact hanging with lot 6 on it. I didn't bring it with me, I have it, I should have brought it with me.
Gary, do you
Looks like there
remember,
might be multiple files to.
was there a date after this that we but yeah, and that's okay, we'll probably find out.
I can wait if you want to do something else. Well, he's checking.
Well, I mean, does it really matter?
It may not, I think we. It would
The
be
bigger
good to do
concern is, why isn't it in the file?
Right, which is not your concern.
No, I understand.
So if you want to just continue,
Yeah.
just continue if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
why don't
hear
we
what's
just
going on.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
It sounds like what you want to do is get rid of the line.
I want to get rid of the line because I want to add onto my garage later, and I'm going to be hard up against that line if I don't eliminate it. To put the size addition on the garage that I want to put on it.
Okay.
So that's basically what I'm thinking.
So this would make one less lot in the subdivision? Am I thinking
Exactly.
about that correctly?
Exactly.
It's minor.
Yeah, the only question I really had about this at all was, and again, I was just going by the apparently maybe one generation ago of plot plans. Were there any conditions placed on the subdivision when it was approved by the planning board previously?
No. Well, there's the normal setbacks and all that.
Yeah, right, but nothing that shows up on the
No.
Mylar.
No.
Or the ST.
Is that, am I right, Gary?
Yeah, you are.
Possibly have something?
Possibly 2010, that's down.
That's after we want.
Well, somehow.
Yeah, it's more
yeah,
recent
this
than the
is
7, so I bet
2007.
that's.
The top
Look at
one's
the-
07.
So do we file these separately from the rest of the file? Is that how the system works, or is there no system?
Now there is, there's a file, and then there's those tubes that we have a closet full of.
Oh, okay.
That is subdivision plan.
So this is the one in 2007. If we, so we can see the one that they, so they were this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay, right.
So I just want to do away with 6
at least shows it.
Yeah, since then I built a house here a couple of years ago.
So this goes away. Thanks for finding that. Appreciate that. Go from that side. Okay. So in our subdivision ordinance, with this application, are there any concerns that come up? I can't think of any. It's just simply removing a line.
Being simple.
Yeah. So it would just be amending that, so that the number of copies that would come to the town still applies, and what you would go to the registry of deeds would still apply, right? So that would still need to have all that. And you've provided those here, is that correct?
Yep.
So, Gary, have you taken a look at all these and make sure we're all good? Does the board want, well, how would the board like to proceed this time?
I think we're ready for a motion, frankly.
I am,
Just sign the 4 copies.
exactly. Oftentimes there's some sort of quick examination of what's presented, just to see that lines line up. But we're not changing.
Well, I looked at it earlier, but
So we're good. Okay. I'm ready for a motion if the board.
I would make a motion to approve the amendment as presented.
Seconded. Okay, so you know what you have to do after we vote on this,
I
right?
think so.
We'll be signing this and
Yep.
dating this. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't.
Do we have any more questions for the applicant in this case? Gary, do you have any concerns?
No.
All in favor? 4 in favor, none opposed. We shall sign. You can go on your way.
You wanna sign that now?
Yes, we'll sign that now. Maybe I have to do my pen. Nothing.
Nick to the rescue.
Maybe we can lay it right over here.
2 bylaws, is that enough?
One
need
Mylar and, well, for total of 4, 3 for the town, 1 for the registry of deeds.
That's part of the paper though.
So 1 Mylar for the town. that
Well,
we-
actually, 1 Mylar for the registry of deeds and then 3 paper copies for the town. But there's another Mylar in there.
Yep. So if we sign 5, 2 Mylar and 3 paper, we'd be covered. Right, so. Coming back from the 10, just 1 second. Roger, you don't have one on you, do you? No.
Would it require Peter just one of those permanent markers or?
Yeah.
Don't do the paper, or just a regular pen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
black,
Just
black.
we can start off
We
those,
got
huh?
a black pen? Thank you. So today's date is the 18th. Thank you.
I've been using.
Yep. He has one.
Nick didn't come back?
Just say it, maybe I can find my line.
think I might have it. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Thanks, Gary.
I think it works.
Okay. Sure.
I know.
I think so, yeah.
More organized, well.
Sure this is gonna hold up?
I don't know, try it. Did you already try it?
I did. Hoping it stays.
No?
Smears.
I can leave those, you know, pick them up in a couple days or something, or next week. Next time you guys meet.
It's just a regular old pilot. Former DEP issue.
Well, meanwhile, Roger, send the people ones. Go with the paper. Ha, that will work.
Do the shopping?
There we go.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need.
Be a little wide, it didn't work.
Sure.
We can read our signatures anyway.
You know.
That wouldn't be good for me, George. You can't read my signature anyway, if I use that, it'll be all over.
Okay, getting back to this one.
Get the votes favorable.
So Nick will need to keep, yeah. And when we get done signing, make sure that we keep what we need, and Gary will take the rest for his own purposes. We haven't had much subdivision activity lately.
Slow down. I think 2007 kind of slowed everything down.
I think so.
Yeah, this is almost an unsubdivision.
What's that?
Yeah.
This is an unsubdivision.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a glut of undeveloped lots from the, late 1980s. That big surge.
Thank you. So we're signed, we're all signed here. This is yours, it won't walk away.
I already looked at it. Nick's gonna buy us some.
Yeah, okay. And Gary, you're all set.
Okay. I'm gonna take that to the registry, right?
We're gonna need one Mylar and 3 paper, is that right? 3 paper?
Well, we actually only need 3 paper, but
Oh, okay.
You keep the Mylar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you need one
Much more permanent. I'll take one to the registry and the other one.
Are you?
You need 3 papers.
Yep, and those are the ones that we signed. Should be here. 3, yep.
That work?
Yep.
Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Gary.
So one goes in our file, one goes to the tax assessor, and one goes to Gary.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever received one, but they're in the planning board file.
Yep.
So that they're just all rolled together.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So having checked that off, we'll get back to number 1 later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, looks like the first one up that we have is an application for Tammy and Robert McGovern.
Yep.
You're not representing them, right?
No.
You're not them, so they are not present?
Nope.
Okay,
There's
lead us,
photos,
lead us through it.
there's photos of their house, I think.
Yeah.
Right there, okay? Basically, this is a simple one. They wanna put a 60 square foot addition on the home, which is shown on the plan, and they're only allowed 40. They're looking for a denial from the planning board so they can go to the Board of Appeals for an extra 20 square feet.
Wait, I don't have a sketch plan of the area that shows the house.
It's on the back page.
So,
No, I'll get their pictures.
Oh, you don't have the application?
hang on, did you have the package?
Right here.
Oh, there we go, okay.
On the back page, you'll see the addition. They wanna do a little bump out for, I
Okay.
think it's to increase the bedroom size. And essentially, they're looking for a denial, basically, from the planning board, so that they can take the next course of action and go to the Board of Appeals.
Cause it sounds like they probably talked to you already and
Three or
talked
four
about.
times.
Okay. I see that. So we would be denying them because of the amount of square feet they already have at this,
They're allowed a 40 square foot
to go up to 1,000, right?
expansion, and they wanna go
Go
60.
larger.
It's within 75 feet of the.
Right.
And that's why I want to get to, that we can point to that, so that when the Board of Appeals gets it, they know why we're doing it,
We're gonna need that form if we get that far
right?
on the document.
A denial, yeah.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
And then this application and photos and everything that we need to get forwarded to the Board of Appeals.
So this would no longer be a de novo. This would be just an appeal of our decision.
Well, no, it's a variance, it's not an appeal.
Oh, right.
It's a variance.
They would be going to the Board of
Right,
Appeals
yeah,
for a
no, that's right,
variance.
dimensional appeal.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that as we talk this out, you know, when we, if we move to deny it, that we could point to the specific part of the ordinance that says this. And, that would be our basis.
Before we head too far down that road, though, I got a bunch of questions, and hope they'll be able to answer them for me and not here. I don't see a to scale site plan, so that leaves a number of questions. You know, we've got the oblique. I don't know if that's from a drone or Google Earth or what, but
What's this right here?
yeah, I know, but that's just the building.
Oh, from the whole site?
And so it leaves questions like, what's the distance from that inlet to the building? Because that might be a factor.
You mean,
What are the maximum heights?
oh, I see over here.
Yeah. Because that's normal high water mark right there.
Yeah, I didn't see the inlet.
What is the, what where is the inlet? It's not
On
the,
the left.
Yeah, that's it.
so, oh, this part? Oh, I was
Yeah.
thinking that was in like an old,
So we don't know what that distance is. Why don't I run down my questions and then we can take them up? We need the maximum heights of the buildings. I assume these are just one-story buildings, so
It is.
less than 20 feet.
The photo shows that.
Does it?
Well, it shows that it's a one-story building.
Yeah. Well, let me go back. The distance is important because if it's less than 75 feet, then that may change what numbers we're working with.
To the inlet, you mean?
Yeah. In terms of the how non-conforming is the structure, the principal structure. It also might impact whether the garage counts towards the 1,000 square feet maximum limit within 75 feet. Since we don't, they're within.
That's 23, and that's 24. And that's 45.
Is that how it reads? It's supposed to be cumulative?
so page 3, I don't know, Gary, if I'm reading this correct. I'm sorry, D.
Yeah.
At the top of mine, it says A to B equals 92 feet.
That's right.
And so that's from the normal high water mark left of the house going back to somewhere, it looks like
Into the garage.
into the garage somewhere.
That's 92 feet.
I think George is on the right track with trying to know where, you know.
So that's the distance from, shore in front of, but what about to the left? What's the distance there? The distance is both to the,
I'm sure it's within 75. That's why they're restricted to 1,000 square feet.
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I guess I don't know that because I have no clue what, first off, you see what looks like the remnants of an old dock or something. I assume that there's water underneath there, but that's an assumption on my part. So what's the distance to the garage, as well as what is the distance from there to the principal structure? I mean
there are no measurements.
Yeah, there's no measurements and it's not the scale.
One could perhaps guess with that white car, that's probably not a 75-foot wide car.
Guess I'd just soon not be in the business of guessing.
Right.
Do what you need to do.
Yep.
The other thing, Gary, just looking at these photos, and then I looked at it in Google Earth, and I mean, we don't have any information with this respect. The principal building, I don't think comes even close, but they have so much driveway and parking and walkways. I'm just worried a little bit about the 20% rule. We don't have any information to make a determination one way or the other.
So what we have in front of us,
I mean, if we're gonna, ultimately, if we say deny, because, I mean, I agree with you that, they don't meet the square footage footprint standard as proposed. There may be other things that we need to deny them for, but we don't know.
right. Would we be diligent in acting on this particular application in front of us without those other measurements?
I think not. I don't think we have a complete application.
We have to act on it. We can deny it as an incomplete,
Or you can table
but it's
Yeah.
been brought to us, so.
it. You can table it.
because I'm trying to think this out a little bit, so because if we try to act on this right now, we already know that there are other questions about what's presented. And should something go to an appeals board and approved for a variance, there might be other concerns that have not yet been addressed.
I mean, it wouldn't be fair to the applicant for them to go through the process of going to the appeals board,
Right,
only to come back to us with or without that variance,
correct,
only for us to possibly find other
things.
issues
So-
that prevents us from issuing a permit.
I guess I would be of the mindset, well, we can do a couple of things. One is to deny it as is, I suppose, as being incomplete or something. Another thing would be to table it until such time we get more information. Those would be two possibilities. I don't know how the board feels.
I personally would table it.
Yeah, that would be my preference.
It's gonna complicate it if you deny it, and then they bring the information you need, and you deny it again,
Right.
then they go to the Board of Appeals
Right.
for this denial, but not the first denial.
Yeah, no, that would make for a messy record
So,
for the appeals board.
and I'd like to make this as a good, from an administrative perspective, as good of a case as can be presented to the next step, whatever that's going to be. Meaning, if we have sufficient information, we act accordingly.
Table it, and I'll call
Yep.
them. Tell them I need more.
Thank you. Perfect.
I mean, everything may be just fine, you know, with the questions I've raised, it's just, we can't tell, I can't tell.
Does the board members feel it similarly? We want to be fair to the taxpayers and the applicant in particular.
So we'll table it until we get a complete application.
I think that's the direction to go. And we have questions that have to be answered, which I know you voiced them tonight, George. And you can recall those, so if you're talking to them, you say, we want to make sure we know this distance, these measurements, scale drawing, for all things shown on, okay.
Should we have them get the amount of square footage that they've got of impervious to?
That's an excellent idea. It really is, yeah. So I would entertain a motion if we are ready to do so.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would just make a motion to table the application on the basis that it's incomplete.
Second.
Any more discussion? Gary, you know what you're gonna be asking for with them. Do we have any more questions? All those in favor?
You're gonna keep that original and keep the photos.
4 in favor, none opposed. Personally, I do not want to keep it.
Nick?
I don't wanna lose it. It's number one.
I'll leave it up here, you can grab it.
Thank you, that's perfect. That way, should the applicant come in, you can walk them through those things. Fantastic. We all set to move on to the next one? Next up is the shoreland permit applicant, Mr. Dunbar. Welcome.
Thank you.
Somebody else to pick on.
Gary, this is at 285 Foster Point?
Yes, yep, these are the photos that go with it. If you don't already have them.
Those are, some of those are new,
These, yeah.
other than the
Holy
ones
cow.
I emailed to Nick
Looks like it.
yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Holy moly.
Erosion control plan?
That's erosion control plan.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Well done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you read the ordinance there,
Yeah,
young
right.
man?
I had some help.
Yeah, okay.
First I read the wrong ordinance,
Oh,
because you get two on your website. One's the new one, the other one hasn't been changed yet.
oh, really?
You know what he's talking about? Cause I couldn't explain it to him, cause I wasn't sure what.
Yeah. If you go in through Gary's page, you get the old one. If you go in through the planning board and ordinance page, you get the new one.
Okay.
The test.
Yeah. And you passed.
Well, thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, I know.
We could have got 9 months.
Yeah,
ago.
Nick gives me a phone call, we need photos. What do you mean you need photos? Nothing about photos.
So Andy, what did you do? Get a tree come down on top of that
Multiple.
and water damage underneath?
The October storm. The whole frame's all racked, Roger, it's just twisted.
That's it.
I went down yesterday, looked
Yeah.
at it.
So we've got a couple of clients, it's actually 4 people that own this, 2 couples. And they really haven't done much except put some bracing in, put some tarps on it. And it's been up for sale, and they had a buyer come along that looks like they were gonna fall through at the 11th hour. And we've got a time crunch on the 18 months to do something.
Oh,
Non-conforming structure, it's in a
Right.
resource protection slope district.
So what this application is, it's an application to build exactly what's there. And essentially we wanna preserve their
So it's gonna be a complete,
grandfather status.
yeah, complete tear down, rebuild.
That's what we're applying to be able to do, if it comes to that. Is a tear down and rebuild of exactly what's there.
Same height, same footprint.
Yep.
Same location.
Yeah, you don't have a height line on your application.
Right
But it
back
is
on
23.
post again?
It is 23 feet.
Right back on post again?
Yeah, and actually, whoever built this back in the 50s did a really good job with the piers. They're all there, they're plumb, they're solid, and it's got that big stone fireplace in there.
I saw that too, that's
Yeah.
handsome.
So I think it's just, if in fact they do build it as we're applying for, I don't think there's any foundation work that's gonna need to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's,
Not clearing any trees?
nope. They were already,
They went through the roof.
yeah.
There's a lot of little ones though.
so this is clearly 50% or more damage. Easily.
Yeah, they were hoping somebody would come in and go through and refurbish it, but as time's gone on, they've come out of denial and accepted their situation.
This is a non-conforming structure currently.
Yes,
In a resource protection.
on a
district.
non-conforming lot. It's in the slope district.
It looks like it's real steep behind it, is, from these photos, is that the case? Okay, so that kind of eliminates the moving
It's-
back.
It sits on a plateau, probably man-made in 1952,
Right, okay.
and
I mean, besides the fireplace issue.
If a structure is damaged by more than 50% and you apply to rebuild it within that allowable time frame, I don't think the planning board has an option to make you move it back anyway. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it wouldn't make sense in this case.
We couldn't do it anyway.
Yeah, we got the foundation.
I think you're allowed
Already
to
there
replace it
and-
within that time frame, in kind.
I don't think it matters, but I'm not sure I read it that. Okay. I'm taking a look at that, but I don't think it matters.
It just may not have anything to do with this, but on the drawing, Andy,
Mhm.
I see something that says parcel 2 and parcel 1.
Right.
What is that
The deed has
relative
2
to?
parcels in it.
Oh, the deed does?
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, parcel 1 and parcel 2 in the deed. They both go from the lake to the road. One's 100 feet wide, the other's 59 feet wide.
Gotcha. So that's just describing what the deed
Correct.
says. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody should take note that Andy did provide a soil erosion control plan.
Yes, indeed.
Any thoughts about how you want to deal with stormwater on the replacement structure?
They'll probably just put rock line drip edges under all the,
Because I didn't see anything
These.
here, I mean, we could handle it like we've handled it other times.
yeah, we can spec it as a condition.
So the only thing that kicks in is the 50% of the construction value.
I mean, like, because of the damage that was done, if I heard it correctly, more than 50% was of the value of the structure was damaged. Right, is that correct?
Yeah, if it was less, Gary could prove it.
Right,
It looked it to me, it's the whole frame underneath the building just.
yeah. That's trouble.
Yeah.
And what will the roof be like in the end? It will be, I mean, obviously,
The same.
same pitch, everything.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And right now,
No change.
by definition, the height is 23 feet.
Okay. So there it will stay. Based on this particular situation, what other questions do we have for Andy?
What is that, like an L shape?
Yeah.
So you get your roof pitch in two ways.
Right, yes.
The biggest part's flowing towards the lake.
The northern L.
Let's say the lake's down here, that's a small part.
Yes.
So this is pitching this way.
Yep. And right now, anything would come off of the roof there would
Onto
hit the
the deck.
deck, and then some.
We'll slow it down.
slow it down.
Right. Yeah, so like on this main section here, the ridge runs that way, and on this one, I think it runs this way.
Yes. So it's probably a good opportunity to talk about just going forward, you know, with the new ordinance, that we'll be looking for the scale drawings.
That is the scale.
Yeah,
Yep,
there's-
no, I'm
full
not
scale.
saying this is not. I'm just
Okay.
saying, just making it clear going forward, we'll be asking for it. So I just want to make sure that you always present a good application, so that's not an issue, but just make sure that we state it, that's all. Because what comes to Gary, what we're looking for is to have complete applications, and that's one of the things. So I just wanted to make sure we're communicating that.
As long as you can find the right ordinance.
Right.
You're all set.
You get
don't
two to
do.
choose from.
Well, we are also amending the instruction sheet and the application itself.
That's good.
Right.
There's a lot of data not asked for
Right.
in the current one.
So, yeah, we're trying to have the instruction sheet match what we're asking for, so that it could hopefully be clear to the applicant. So, anyway, just wanted to mention that. What other questions do we
We're
have?
not doing any groundwork whatsoever.
Not proposing any.
You think they'd wanna fix this?
Up behind the current
Yeah,
structure?
and over here where the stairs are.
Okay, because what it looks like it does is
Yeah,
It-
everything slopes
it
right into it.
slopes, and it was probably cleared some of the plateau, maybe
Probably
man-made.
where the washout came from underneath. From here.
Mhm. Well, they're not proposing any.
There haven't been any washouts out there.
Which, that's good.
Yeah.
And if you
But
do
under
it
the
by
camp-
hand, you're allowed to do a certain amount of.
That's what it looks like under there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took,
Is that because of this?
that's snow.
Geez, I'm looking at it, the stairs where it drops here,
Yeah, right behind.
yeah. And then the other one I was looking at, oh, right
Yeah,
here, that's,
this is a shot right out the back door. So you go across the deck
you think
and
that,
you go up a
so I'm saying, you think they'd wanna do something to.
set of steep
alleviate
stairs there. And
There's
that's
the
as far
stairs.
as they dug their plateau back.
And then got tired, probably, right? It's like, That's
But it
far
really
enough.
doesn't matter, does it? 'Cause
No,
we got
no.
everything we need, we can move on.
Right,
It's a good
Beat a
question.
dead horse.
okay, no problem.
Okay. I'm ready for a motion, if the board is ready. Craig, you want to do?
I'd make a motion to approve the application with the condition of a crushed stone drip line underneath the eaves of the new camp.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, do you have any questions for us, Andy? You know what we're asking for that. You've described it, you know. Any other questions for the applicant? Any comments, concerns? All those in favor? 4 in favor, none opposed. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
So you're gonna mail over? Why don't I pick it up? Okay. If you're gonna mail, I was gonna tell you to mail it to me, but rather than. Yeah, I'll call you. Okay. That's good, because then I can scan it and send it to everybody. Sounds good.
Oops. You're all set? Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a commercial application. Applicant is Pike Industries, Inc. Are you representing
Yes.
Pike?
Yep.
All right, well, welcome. Thanks for coming over tonight.
No problem.
Appreciate that. So you've spoken with Gary?
No, actually.
Nope.
Yeah.
Have not?
Submitted his application.
Yeah. 5-year renewal, yeah.
Yeah, all right. All right,
Yeah,
what's that?
I was just gonna tell you a little bit about what's going on.
We would love to hear what
Yeah.
this is all about.
So basically, it's relatively an inactive gravel pit. We do have a contractor come in yearly and get material out, a very small amount. But we don't operate it currently. It's really dependent upon road projects in the area. If there happened to be something in the area, we might go in and grab more material, but as of right now, I predict the next 5 years should just be a small amount each year from the contractor down the road.
Okay.
That's a license.
Yes, and it is licensed by the DEP.
And where is this? Because you get on Horse Point Road, and where is it?
Yes, it is off of Horse Point Road.
Way down.
Yeah, we're right before, I think we border the Boy Scout camp there.
Yeah, a little bit after Rick Lappers.
Yeah, it's a pretty large parcel of property, but due to wetlands, there's only a little area that's mineable. We actually checked it for, I think it was last year we looked, because we're always in search for good sand. And that particular pit just doesn't work for our asphalt mix, so
but, you know, the contract, I think it's, David Stevens takes material out, very little. I think there was about 2,800 tons in 2018.
Okay.
I was just curious, in, your, DEP site location permit, there's discussion about, fueling facility, and I didn't see anything on the site drawing, and I wasn't sure if it's still there, or.
No, I think the last time, I wasn't here 5 years ago, but there was discussion about fueling on site.
Right.
But we don't fuel on site, or at least the contractor doesn't, and we wouldn't plan to either if we went in there.
Okay, well, that's what I recall from 5 years
Yeah.
ago as well. I just got a little confused by this
Yeah.
fairly old.
Yeah, they're told to, yeah, it is, they're told to fuel off site.
Yeah.
And he's right down the road, so.
Thank you.
And are you Justin?
Yes, I'm done.
So this is simply a renewal?
Mhm.
That's it, right? That's
Yeah,
all,
it's
that's
a
all there's,
5-year
right?
operational permit, basically. You may recall that when the ordinance was redone back in 2017, we changed this somewhat,
Yes.
both procedurally, and we added some standards for fuel storage and fueling, and a couple other things too, but mostly clarify that existing are handled differently than new.
Right.
So if this one's up, that means the others are up, huh?
Afraid so.
You're afraid so, right?
I didn't even know it by him, he just brought it in, I went, oh, yeah.
I was just curious, I think it was again, in the DEP license, the operating time was changed on school days from 7 to 7:30. Is that because of the bus schedule, or?
No, that was done before me, so I kept the same operating time.
Yeah.
If we were to go in there and do a full operation.
I remember when it went to public hearing, because it was a big to-do.
Yeah, I noticed that too, at the time, so I just kept it consistent.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
And you're gonna retain the 50-foot vegetative buffer along the road?
Yeah, and we have to do that for the DP also.
Right.
It's an undisturbed
Because that's a standard. of the-
standard, correct, yeah.
It's pretty simple, there's no washing, no crushing,
No fueling?
no fueling,
Yeah.
and load, you know, just screens.
One of the changes we made when we revised the ordinance is, so for your information, is that if somebody brought in a rock crusher, we would consider that we would need to reconsider that as basically as a new type of facility. And that would kind of trigger a full-blown application rather than, I mean, this may not seem abbreviated, but.
No, I know what you mean, yeah. No, there are no future plans for that.
Yeah. Just for your information. Yep. Mostly because of noise and things like that.
Yeah, we have multiple pits in remote locations, and rarely they're used.
Peter, this is a question for the board and for you. I think if I'm reading the ordinance correctly, this is processed like we would an amendment to an existing permit. So the public notice requirement is optional. I think I'm reading that correctly, but I think we should talk about that.
Yeah, we should.
But,
Cause I too would interpret, when we did this before, we treated the existing, operations much like what you described, right?
Yeah.
It's that way. How does it state it in our ordinance for these types of things relative to the
let's see.
public notification?
It's on page 39. I did my homework right. Oh, no, I didn't do my homework right. So, let's see. Oh, page 17. So, what it it's under section 9, revisions to an approved plan, and then it gives all the criteria for when that is triggered, but then 9.4, review of the proposed revision shall be limited to the impacts of the proposed changes. Sorry, that's not wrong. Oh, okay. The board may follow notice and meeting requirements if it determines the change to be significant. And I don't think this is significant myself, but
I would agree that there's no significant change.
But, you know, for example, I bring it up because this will be the first of a number of these coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, but, you know, maybe somebody's really got a big expansion in mind, or they're planning to bring in.
And the wording on significant, how does that say it?
Significant.
Just
See dictionary.
significant, yeah. Because that's going to be the hang up for us,
Yeah.
you know, potentially.
Yeah,
is
I think.
what is it, a driveway change significant, or is, you know, excavating a much larger amount significant? I mean, when does minor stop and significant start?
I think hopefully we can use some good judgment on that.
Yep, exactly. But in this case, there is no
This one,
change.
I think it's
So-
clear.
So I'm glad we talked about it and have, you know, a broader understanding. But yeah, we can anticipate many more of these, so I'm sure. For the town. So for the applicant who is here tonight, what other questions do we have for this type of a thing? Do we have all the drawings we need? That was one thing that came to my mind, was when we revised this before. This one, we have, which was real important.
I mean, the drawing requirement, given that this is existing, is, you know, fairly minimal.
Yep.
I guess the other procedural question I have is, and I don't remember how we did this 5 years ago, whether we completed the findings of fact and law.
I don't remember doing that before.
Right,
Doesn't mean that was correct
right, because at that point in time, I don't think we were doing it
in general.
in general.
Right. So,
Would you treat this as an amendment?
Right,
Do you do it as an amendment?
I'm not sure. It would seem to me sometimes it would be prudent to do so, but I don't know whether it makes sense to do it here.
Well, if it's already been approved, and we're just redoing it
and
with
nothing.
no changes,
Right.
it's the same thing that.
Yeah. Now, the error that could go forward is if something were approved and there had not been a review of the findings of fact. Then you're just propagating something over and over again, right? That's a possibility. I'm not saying that they are doing that. I'm just saying procedurally, that's a trap that could happen, right? So there is, it's good to be diligent and prudent.
So, my concern isn't about this application, my concern is in anticipation of some of the others we're gonna get, where, one, we don't know what changes are proposed or have occurred. But in one case, that's pretty prominent, the 50-foot buffer's been removed.
Yep.
And if that's the proposal, if we don't do findings of fact and order, we really, we're just kind of playing by the seat of our pants at that point.
Right,
So it's a question of consistency.
right. Well, I guess,
So what are we gonna go through and put non-applicable on a lot of the findings and facts? I mean,
We are, yeah, in this case, yeah. Your assessment of what's applicable and isn't is, in terms of the checklist, is spot on as far as I'm concerned. I'm not suggesting we redo the checklist. I'm
Right.
not suggesting that. I'm suggesting we jump to the findings of fact in order or law.
Is there an actual application put in, Gary?
I would say no, whatever you've got is what was submitted.
Well, that's it, I was looking, I don't see one, and I was just wondering if down in, if it, any place on it, it did put down that it's just a re-permitting, no changes? I wonder if that would
5 years.
suffice.
You know, the front is
Yeah, it
a
should be
5-year
on there.
gravel operation renewal,
Yeah.
so.
But on this, something like this, if we put it on it, if we could waive everything else and not have to go through the whole thing again. If it's stated right there that it's just a
Yeah, if there's an
re-permitting.
application for a permit, and they already have a permit,
Right.
they're just renewing it. So, they're not going through the whole thing again.
But Gary's gotta have something that tells him, like a permit, that basically they are getting another permit for another 5 years.
Isn't that just a letter that, say, Nick generates to Pike Industries saying that? Because what you're looking at, the building.
Yeah, because it isn't a building
Yeah.
permit.
That's what other towns do, although sometimes I don't receive the letters, but that's what they do.
That's
So,
what I'm
Gary,
thinking, we'd be covered.
Would appreciate what your thoughts on that matter is, the sort of how we handle these applications consistent in terms of our decision making. For example, if one of these should be appealed, say we had to deny one and it was appealed,
right,
What would be the condition that we deny one?
well, for example, I don't wanna get far ahead of myself, but if we had, and we're likely to have, an application for a gravel pit where they don't have the 50-foot buffer because they removed it. How are we gonna approve that when the ordinance requires it?
And the selectmen allowed them to remove it, just to go
Right.
one step.
Erroneously, but
right.
It's filed as registry of deeds.
Yep.
Well,
DEP shouldn't have allowed that.
it's not a DEP license.
Oh, it's not, oh, okay, then that's.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, no, this is really small.
So in that
You know,
case,
but it's across the street from the school, everybody in town drives by it, half of them complain to my wife.
right, true. In that case, that would be one, in my opinion, a prime example of one not to approve. It would be denied. So,
Could we deny it though when the select board approved it?
Right.
Yeah,
Can we go above the select board?
it's a fair question. My guess is it would be a legal wrangling.
I've already been told by the applicant, he met with Dennis and I, and he's already said, I've got documentation. The select board has filed it to registry of deeds. If the town denies me, then we're going to court.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
And I'm gonna sue the town.
So it sounds like it would be a legal wrangling, but I'm still thinking that based on what we have in the ordinance, in a case, maybe just take a hypothetical and not that one, but one like that didn't have a selectman ruling
Right.
erroneously, yet the applicant removed the 50-foot buffer.
Yeah, well, that's different. You
Right,
don't have
that's different.
You don't have the highest power in the town saying they can do it.
Exactly, it's different, and that's why I want to talk about it hypothetically
Yeah.
as compared to that one,
I
because
mean, that
what's going to
muddies the
happen
waters, you know, the fact that they have no authority to make that decision
is
aside.
another matter, right?
um,
Because quite frankly, I'd rather not deal with what the problems were with that other case. What we have to deal with is what we can do, what we can decide. And in a hypothetical, we can create something to say, this is an example of where we might deny it, right? And that's one. Move the 50-foot buffer in a case that otherwise would be otherwise it'd be submitting a renewal.
So if somebody else would have had a license for 5 years and removed the buffer without the select board or us saying so.
Correct.
Then they're done.
To me, that would be a basis
Right.
for denial.
Yeah.
And I think what George's point is that in the case of a denial,
Yeah.
we'd want to, probably that would elevate to say, oh, let's go through our findings of fact so we can have a
Right.
proper denial. Then it goes to a board of appeals. They'd say, what has been your precedent in terms of your decision-making process? And I think that's what you get
did
in
you
there.
use the same standards for everybody?
Yep,
But
exactly.
actually, if you wanna kick it back, when they took that buffer down, Gary should have gone right in and said, that's it, your license is done.
Yeah.
So
They
they
don't have a
shouldn't,
right to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Above what the selectmen gave them permission
I-
to
I
do.
So-
mean, I
but
don't
that
think we
really,
need-
that would void their
Yeah.
license.
We have to
Because-
just get away from that example.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I don't wanna get into the enforcement case or anything associated with that. I'm just looking ahead to the possibility of us having to deny one of these.
Mhm.
And so the question will come up, as it always comes up, has the planning board dealt with all other applications in the same manner?
Yeah, exactly. And to
As, you know, as was the case with Brightside, as it is, and it should be with all.
Yep, exactly. So a finding of fact for us would be fairly straightforward in this case.
Well, it basically is just going, checking yes, 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 or whatever.
Let's do it.
Straight to your
Justin, bear with us.
That's fine.
It won't take that long.
Okay.
Yeah, we're covering everybody's butt.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, mostly ours.
Ours, yeah. The highly paid board that we are.
Oh, you want a raise?
Oh, thank you.
You want a raise? We'll give you a couple more zeros.
Yeah, really.
In the front.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, there's a lot of talk with this, we just get through it. So are we ready to go through this? This is a Town of Belgrade Planning Board findings of fact and conclusion of law under the Town of Belgrade Commercial Development Review Ordinance, which this applies. And the matter of project name is called Pike Industries. What's this
It's
project
bugged
called?
on, you know.
What's
We
that?
call it like Horse Point gravel pit. Like Industries Horse Point.
So it says, not to get hung up, it says proposed name of development or new use, then it says 5-year gravel operation renewal. That's really a description of what you're applying for, not the name of the project, correct? So Horse Point,
Horse Point Road.
Is that got a number to it?
No, we don't have a number.
tax map 14 lot 7,
You can,
Horse Point Road.
yeah, standby, Horse Point Road. What?
I would just say, sand and gravel pit.
Craig, I heard you say map 14 lot 7, did I just, or did I do that backwards? 14 7. Thank you. Okay. Number 1 talks about application summary, project type. This is a renewal, gravel.
5-year gravel operation renewal.
Was a waiver requested?
No.
Was it, no. The application process, data application was accepted as complete, I'm thinking today. We got that today, is that correct?
Well, you found it complete today.
Yep. 4, 18, 19, was a site visit conducted? No. Board meeting dates, that's today. I'd like to put a star next to date, board rendered final decision, because I think we need to go through the findings of fact first, and then come back to this, that part. Okay. The board finds that the application for the project subject project is complete and the applicable fee has been paid to the town. Is that the case? We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, the check in.
Yeah.
The check was supposed to come to me, but they sent it to the town.
Being diligent.
We have a whole new, our payment system is coming out of a different state, so
Okay.
it should be here.
Okay.
They, at
There
least I
is-
was told it was here.
There is hope. Okay. The applicant, and then it goes on to say some other stuff. The applicant has requested in writing that the board waive the following ordinance. There is no request for a waiver. The applicant has provided supporting documentation to demonstrate the board's satisfaction that the following ordinance requirements or standards are not applicable due to the proposed project size, site conditions, etc. That would be not applicable in this case, right? The applicant and/or the applicant has failed to provide, that's not applicable here. The board finds that the project will or will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or a reduction in the land's capacity to hold water so that an unsound or unhealthy condition exists. If the board wants me to read more, let me know. I'm trying to be efficient but not laborious.
Perfect.
The board finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on freshwater wetlands. The board finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on lake, pond, or stream based on reasons. The board finds that the project will not or will provide for adequate storm water management. Do you have anything?
Well,
The board finds that the project will not or will provide adequate sewage disposal.
there's an any, so, an A.
The board finds that the project is not or is located in a floodplain area. The board finds that the project will not or will result in air or water pollution. The board finds that the project will not or will have sufficient drinking water for current foreseeable needs. The board finds that the project, along or in conjunction with existing activities, will not or will adversely impact the quality or quantity of groundwater. The board finds that the proposed activity will dispose of all solid waste in conformance with regulations. This would be NA. Does the board agree? NA? Yes. The board finds that the project will not or will have significantly detrimental effect on adjacent land uses and properties affected by waste, noise, glare, lighting, fumes, smoke, dust, odors, or their effects from the project. The board finds that the project will not or will cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion. The board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have an adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics. Thank you. The board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have an adverse effect on significant wildlife habitat. Will not. The board finds that the project does not conform or conforms with all other applicable ordinances. No. The board finds that the project will not or will unreasonably increase the concentration of phosphorus in a great pond. The board finds that the project will not or will conform to material storage provisions of this ordinance. Because they're storing nothing, correct? There are no fuel storage. The board finds that the applicant has or does not have sufficient right, title, or interest to undertake the development. I thought I saw that they do. The board finds that the applicant does or does not provide for safe and adequate parking. The board finds that the project will not or will conform to all applicable provisions of this ordinance, including but not limited to development standards for specific activities. This is rather specific. This is where we decide that we either approve or deny. So therefore, the Town of Belgrade Planning Board approves, subject to the following conditions, the application of, this is Pike Industries.
I just have, this is a minor question, it has really nothing to do with our decision tonight, but I'm just curious, how deep is the groundwater table there?
I don't know.
But you're not excavating it?
No, and we have to stay, for the DEP permit, we have to stay 5 feet above, yeah, so.
I was just
At
curious.
max, it would be 5 feet below, but it's probably lower than that.
Yeah.
I would say probably close to,
Lake elevation?
yeah, or behind the pit, there's a hit, it goes up a hill and then back down to a rather large wetland area.
Right.
So that area. And I know the pits down the road are probably twice as deep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
There are standard conditions of approval. You may have seen these types of things before. They're listed on this. That would be part of it, but I don't know if you want to hear about them, but I'll give you the highlights.
I mean, if you want to, you can, but.
I'll be brief.
Okay.
First one talks about construction. That's not you.
Not gonna happen.
Second one, this is important. The board approval of this project as described above is limited to that described in the application. So basically what's being presented and nothing more, right?
Yeah.
I'm being brief, but please jump in if I'm overlooking something. I want to make sure you get the meat of it.
No, that's good.
Unless a waiver from a specific ordinance standard has been requested by the applicant in writing and approved, the development or use is required to meet all applicable ordinance standards. And the board approval and its associated permit from the code enforcement officer is transferable to subsequent owners of the property. Kind of standard stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I would make a motion to approve the application as presented.
thank you. I'd second it. Any more discussion? Do you have any questions for us?
No, not right now.
No, okay. And therefore, all in favor? 4 approved, none opposed. Gary, you have your letter to them, or do you have a standard letter for that type of stuff? No?
No.
So how did we handle it before? Did Nick just, well, it wasn't Nick, but somebody send them a letter?
Yeah, I'll type up something, I'll show
Probably
you
a
first.
copy of that.
Yeah, and a copy of that.
Put the name, signature date.
Okay.
They have stuff for their reference. So are you out at Westbrook?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to remember, there was another gentleman that came with you 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't here, but I
Oh,
would,
right.
there were
Thank you,
two,
Nick.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
I think the person who was in my position previously,
Yeah,
yeah.
can't remember his name. I believe he was an engineer.
Yeah, John Corris.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Is he still with Pike or?
No, he got an illness, so he actually probably a year ago now, he passed away.
Really?
Sorry to hear that.
I think I heard that.
It was Alzheimer's, early onset.
No, wow.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So actually, when he was here last time, he came with another gentleman.
Yeah.
Just because he was told to come with somebody, because he was starting to, that was just when it really started in 2014, and I came in July 2014.
How deep is that hole over there where they did the wash thing?
Oh, down where they're developing now, I'd say that's probably about 300, I'd say.
They gotta fill that back in, or what's?
It's been slowly, we had a permit to do clean fill, so contractors would come and dump material in there, but it hardly made a dent. I know the developers now have been pushing a lot of material in there. The water's starting to rise a little bit. I think they need to, for their plans, they needed to rise a little bit more. I don't know if it will or not. It's always been really, from what I've heard, really, as far as the fractures, a lot of water doesn't come in.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by clay. That's one of the reasons why they couldn't expand it any larger.
I know it's quite a hole.
Otherwise, we'd probably still be there if it wasn't surrounded by clay.
Yeah.
Deep clay too, so.
Unless the clay becomes valuable for something.
Yeah, right. And in some areas it is, not here though, but, I guess way back when Blue Rock had it and before the highway was there, they should have expanded over that way, where the highway is now. But
Okay, so that's approved.
Did you go?
We did.
Okay, I missed
Yeah,
it. Good.
yeah. It's because we're that efficient, Gary. We just kept going. Boom, baby.
You were lulled to sleep.
I know. It's all right. So Justin, you're all set. You know, so the PITS permit to renew has been granted, and
Okay, thank you.
be going forward.
Yeah, and just check on that check. Let me know. If it's not there, we'll send another one, but it should be.
Okay.
Or we'll track it down or something.
Good night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Have a
Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me that that finding of fact that we went through, I think it's page 2, there's a line that says date that the board approved it. We didn't put in the date. So could you just put in today's date? I had said we're gonna get back to that.
While we're on this subject,
Yes, sir.
I didn't realize that the 5-year time span had come so quickly. So I will have to notify pit owners.
Yes.
What do we expect them to deliver for an application? Because I'm sure it's not gonna be like that one.
Right.
Right. And that was the case last time too.
Right.
I think, I recall, you know, that we really wanted to have some kind of a drawing.
Yep.
You know, that was really important because, in particular because of the 50-foot buffer. We want to be able to demonstrate that on whatever is on paper meets reality. That was the
Do
thing.
you expect them to fill out a commercial development review application?
Does our ordinance call for, in the renewal process, a completed commercial development review application?
Is that our ordinance or is that a state deal?
Ours, yeah. Because I know how this is gonna go. Well, I mean, I can't say I know. I have a good guess of how it's gonna go, right? They're not gonna wanna fill those out, right? And,
Well, let me ask you this. 5 years ago, when I notified all the pit owners, a couple of them never came in.
right.
So these
apparently are not gonna be a renewal. They're gonna be a full application.
Thought about that.
So for those that did not renew,
Yeah, they're not
Then-
permitted right now.
They've never been in. I've got a couple that I know.
well, by rights, then anybody who needs a permit but has not been permitted needs to fill out the permit. Right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, these gravel pits have been in existence for years and, years
Right.
and years, so it's not a new use of the land.
Right, it's not a new use of the land, it's not a new like a new business or something, right, you know, we get that. What would be fair to all? What would be the fairest decision? I mean, what, one person in one pit has been in existence for 75 years, maybe the last, well, maybe it's an exaggeration, 50, whatever. But 5 years ago, they were busy and didn't get to it. But now 5 years come around and they're supposed to renew it, but they didn't do anything with a permit application like ever. So that's one condition.
I think they're DEP licensed, that's, I do think they're licensed to DEP.
Does our ordinance require or enumerate what we would require for a gravel pit renewal?
Partially clearly and partially not. It's very clear on like what the submittals are supposed to be in terms of drawings and things like that in that section that deals with mineral extraction.
Yeah.
The way I read it is it does not require a full application like they did.
Right.
Because it would, well, let me just read it to you. So this is all under mineral extraction. New operations shall meet the review criteria and standards in Articles 5 and 6 as well as those in this section. Existing mineral extraction operations are only required from the planning board in accordance with the requirements outlined below. And then outlined below is things like the site plan, a written statement of proposed operating procedure, a 5-year plan, hydrogeological study if we should require one. And then there's, 10 more items. So, as long as they have that, I would say that it would be fine.
What page is that?
Hmm?
What page is that?
39.
So Gary, so I want to make sure we're helping Gary and communicating to the applicants. So if they're going to renew, we would say we would want them to go to page, basically,
Yeah,
Page
39,
39.
40, and the top of 41.
and to submit those things that are listed there.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, obviously they need to, some of this, like who they are and all that, we need that basic information, even though that, is not listed here, otherwise we've given, who we given the permit to.
right. Does that sound reasonable? Because we're not asking them to do a full blown permit, it's just those things that are there.
And again, what if they didn't come to the planning board 5 years ago like they were supposed to?
I don't know.
You said 39 and 40?
Yeah,
And the top 41.
so
You
you
think
may recall, and maybe this was incorrect. So, for example, on the actual application,
For commercial development review?
yeah, for an existing gravel pit, they go through things like describing who they are, where it's located, you know,
So they should be filling out that application.
yeah, fill it out, but then they skip ahead. That's how we created it. Where does it start? Where did they skip ahead from? So they skip, and the reason it doesn't show up in this application is he didn't print it out, or maybe Nick, you didn't print it out, but anyway, he skipped from question 26 to 63.
Oh, is that all the air,
Yeah, because
Remember-
all that's not applicable.
right, the air quality stuff or something?
What
Well, it's the,
Oh.
all the stuff, if that would be applicable if it was new,
Right,
but since it's not new,
right.
they skip it.
This is what's gonna happen, I'm sure. I'm gonna send the gravel pit owner a letter saying you need to renew your gravel pit license every 5 years.
Yep.
You're gonna mail him an application. And when he looks at that application, he's gonna go, screw that.
Yep.
I mean, he sees how many pages, he doesn't know
Mhm.
Yeah.
that you can skip all this.
I would say in the letter, let them know. Since this is a renewal, you can, you know, what's applicable here.
They basically skip from page 8 to 20.
That only applies to new applications, right?
Right.
That's exactly what we're saying. So if we let them know in advance, like maybe even in the letter, just a little sentence, say, just so you know, you don't have to worry about 23 to 60, because that's for other stuff. Does that,
But how are we treating, again, how are we treating the ones that didn't originally get approved by the planning board 5 years ago? Are we treating them as a new gravel pit?
I mean, the ordinances,
Are we treating
there's
them as-
nothing in the ordinance that even talks about that
right?
scenario.
No.
I'm not even, I mean, so you think it would be like a new app, like the pit never existed?
No, that's what I'm asking you.
Because
I don't think so.
this
I mean,
is,
it's
this
un-
is,
Are we gonna treat it like a renewal even though they never came in 5 years ago?
my answer is yes, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because it's a DEP permitted activity.
And what if it wasn't?
Yeah, what if it wasn't?
And what if
Then
they
it's
did
new.
got that?
I think they're both DEP licensed pits, but one of them may not be.
Well, one of the ones that never followed through, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Ricky Damer never followed through. He came once.
He's one of them. David Stevens, Robin Day. Basically, two of them said, screw you, I ain't doing this. And Greg Gill kinda chuckled and
Good support, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yay.
Cause, I mean, that requirement's been in the ordinance since 2001. Was the first time that we ever, so in one sense, we've already,
we screwed up. I screwed up.
well, regardless, it's more the point of, so they went
Years
10 years or whatever it was.
before they even had to come to.
Yeah, so I would say we handle it the same way. We handle it as
I renewal.
as yet another 5 year, and then if somebody doesn't apply, well, then.
Then we
you know,
kick it up to
then
Dennis.
Then it's, hopefully you'll get more support next time. but-
Right.
Depends who's here.
Right, depends on who's here.
Right. So yeah, I would want to do that same thing. Treat them as a renewal because they're operational pits that are in existence, and I think they are governed,
I think they're DEC licensed.
DEP license, so that's my stance.
The DEP license probably shouldn't be our only reason,
No.
because you may recall when we, when we redid the ordinance, I can't remember the gentleman's name, he did go through the 5-year, he owns that storage facility on Route 27,
Yes.
just aside of the Castle Island Road.
Yeah.
Oh, Ronnie Bellavance?
No,
No,
not Ron
no.
Bellman.
Oh,
Big yellow.
Mac, no, Tom Dowd.
Yes.
He provided a comment saying, look, why, you know, if DEP's already approved me, why do I even need to come to the town? So, and we took that seriously, and so, you may recall, I had volunteered to go to DEP and ask them basically that question and also get clarification on what they regulate and what they don't. And what we found was that some of the town standards are more stringent than DEP's. And also, theirs are more like, it's more like a registration process. It's not a, like, they're the exception, because it's so old. They don't go through the site location development review law anymore. They like register the pit, and then you're it's sort of like an honor system. You know, you agree to comply with these standards.
We re-register you unless we get a complaint.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And we're gonna inspect you on a regular basis, except guess what? They don't.
No, I know that.
And so, on that basis, we decided to keep our 5-year requirement.
So in a lot of ways, yeah. Our requirement enables the town to know what has been permitted.
Yep.
And should the town say, we need to have, there's a complaint, go out and look at enforcement, we have a means to do so. That's what I think this comes down to.
I think this even came up before the select board, now I think about it. And there was still a lot of raw feelings from the Pike industry. Well, it wasn't Pike, it was Blue Rock at the time. That was a big deal in town.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
A lot of bad feelings about that. I remember the public hearing was contentious. So, and that came out at the select board.
But you can also ask the selectmen or select board what they feel about it. I guess. Not that case, but this approach.
Well, we know what one of them thinks about it, because he didn't follow through last time.
It's not his though, is it?
No, I know, it's not. You're right. No. No.
So anyway, I don't know, how do you guys feel about it? Think going forward as is and treating everybody as a renewal is fair and appropriate?
I think so. I'm not sure we should go to the mat over the application part.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was me, I would probably do it just because it's easier, I think, but I can understand why somebody would be intimidated by the amount of paper without having never cracked the first page.
Yeah.
I never read it, but.
Right, exactly right.
Because you know, what'll happen is they don't use it, and then we'll be going through, asking them 50 questions, you know.
Right.
To get the information we need.
And quite frankly, that's not fair to this board.
Well, you know, it wastes their time is what it does, but.
It wastes their time and wastes all of our time, and you know,
But
that's not good.
You know, I tell them, I'm not filling your application up for you.
Right,
That's all.
yeah,
Right.
right. That's not your
They
job.
expect you to.
Yeah, and you just can't do that. That is not a solution that scales well. It's one thing to help guide somebody once. It's another thing to fill out every single application. That's a whole nother thing.
Well, and we bend over backwards to do that too, and have done so on numerous occasions, and probably we've pushed the line of what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep. But, okay, let's proceed that way.
I wish I'd thought, because I sent these letters out in the winter versus now.
Well, you know,
I'm
but
glad you even thought about it.
we have some flexibility. I mean, it seems to me like we don't want to be doing this when we get all these shoreline zoning applications. So maybe giving them a deadline, you know, next fall sometime.
I might do that.
Yeah.
That makes reasonable sense to me. I mean,
I might do
it
that.
isn't an emergency per se, you know, or anything like that. But
It's a good call.
That makes sense.
Okay, great, thank you.
Particularly for the ones that never replied last time, what difference is it? A
Makes
couple
it so
more
much.
months to make.
Which fall?
Yeah, follow, what year?
Well, and plus, you know, they're busy now,
Right,
so, it's just us.
okay. Moving forward, Gary, any news for us?
I have a question for you. Am I missing something? Where does it say in the ordinance on the permit application requirements? Where does it say that we need photographs?
Shoreline zoning?
Yeah. You gotta go to page, it is?
Oh,
I'm reading page 64. Number 8 at the bottom.
I thought it was early on.
Oh, wait, oh, I
Number
see it.
6.
I see it, yeah, no, I see it now, it's on 6.
Hopefully we got that on the instructions.
I hope so. Because I was reading 8 and it says a scale drawing showing
Yeah.
the 4 elevations.
Yeah, one or the other.
Have we, that's the new application then?
This is,
That's what we're handing out, we,
no,
Not
yeah,
yet.
started, yeah.
oh, okay. Cause we haven't finished the instruction sheet, correct?
Neither, really. And that one's official, yeah.
Not there.
I don't see it either.
Well, it doesn't have to be on the application if it's on the instruction sheet.
it's not on it.
It isn't, so I'm not on that either.
But it's in the ordinance though.
But it should be, but it should be on one or the other.
I think both, quite frankly.
Cause then I'm gonna read the ordinance. before
Correct.
I
No,
submit
right.
an application.
I mean,
So we can add it, can we relate to, attachments to this application? A, 2 scale drawings meeting requirements of 16C of the
You have an extra
16C, and, or we could put a B, photographs,
yeah,
to,
It's a great idea.
yeah, no,
and then move B to C and
Yeah.
down through.
that works.
Yeah, that does work. That'd be,
What was that again? It was A, was you gonna add it to that one?
We could either add it to the end of A, because you kinda have space right there. If we can combine them somehow, or if not, just move B to C and put B happy in the photograph, so it's right underneath the drawing requirement.
And we're kind of pressed for space anyway, so combining them.
If you could combine them, you have space enough to put it, I think. Right at the end of it. So they're both right on that.
I don't know if this could help, but on the instruction sheet where it says Town of Belgrade, Maine space application for a permit, in caps, can that be reduced in font size?
The application for a permit?
Yeah. That might help you, you know, have some space near, bring it up. Even a line, that would help, you know, just one. So if we do it there, Craig, then we'd have it on the instruction sheet. Do we need to have it also, do you think, on the, application?
I don't think we have all the other attachments on there because there's
Just,
not
Too
enough
much space.
yeah. So then the key is instructions, making sure you follow the instructions. Then on the application for a permit under number 10, the last sentence says, all required attachments must accompany this application. That does it does cover,
So, okay, now item 11, attachments to application. Maybe we should add required attachments to application. Because that's what we're asking for here, is required attachments.
good point. So, yeah, insert the word required before attachments to applications, right? Yep. Then hopefully, Nick, if people come to you, about this, like, what else do I need? Did you get all the required attachments to the application? Okay, great.
There was something Andy mentioned, but I don't know if he was referring to, was it photographs? What, okay.
Yep.
So, every application that comes in the show, should be provided, should be accompanied by an erosion control plan.
Yes.
Simple one, we put out a basic,
Yeah, Rich.
Rich drew up a basic
Yeah, I don't have any.
sample,
I do have.
so it's just a hand-drawn basic, we kept it simple.
When we start using this, can we make sure every application?
Did you get that? Did you get one, Gary? That's it.
I do remember
Okay.
seeing it now, but I wanna make sure the applicant gets
Yeah.
one when we hand it.
That's
out.
right.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
We wanted to show what it could look like,
Yeah.
as,
Put
as easy as
sample at the
that.
top of it in big letters or something.
Yep. Because we know that not everybody's gonna hire an engineer, very few will. We know that,
Or do we want them to?
right, we don't want them to either, right? It's just provide us with information,
If you're doing soil disturbance.
right?
So when do we start using them?
You gotta approve it. yeah.
Move it, and then
That's it.
another thing, I told you guys, I have a bunch of old permits. Are we saving those just for, we're saving those for just building permits?
No.
No, we're just gonna get rid of them?
This is a building permit.
All right.
Okay, let's not confuse the issue, get them mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not confuse the issue. Did I give him the right one? I don't
We'll
know.
be talking one language and the applicant's,
Yeah,
Oh, so we still,
Grant.
we gotta get these printed in triplicate,
that's correct.
That's-
and I wanna make sure that every application gets an instruction sheet.
Right.
Right,
Actually, I was just
right.
wondering,
Sample.
Yeah,
And
I
that's,
think we're gonna strike item 10. Item 10 should be there. Or item 10 should be item 11
down on the application.
on the instruction sheet. So we have 10 items on the application.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh,
Yeah, it's,
Oh,
shouldn't have, yeah, they should line up.
Right.
Let's just go with that.
This is a test.
Hope we pass, Nick. Okay, so if we agree to what the recent discussion about revising it, and I think it's a great idea, Craig, to have those couple of things in there. If we agree, I think we should make a motion and then say, go forth and,
Yep,
Request
and,
print.
real quick, there's lines, these lines are here, those aren't permanent, just letting everyone know, unless you want them to be permanent, I can get rid of those. The boxes, like how it's all ordered out,
oh,
I just use those so I can see.
I don't think it hurts anything.
No, 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 kind of like to.
I'll keep it there.
I'm good with it.
Do the applications we use now have a condition thing down here?
Yes.
Because when you mail the permit to the applicant, when you mail the permit to the applicant, it's filled out with the conditions.
Right. Yes.
But the planning board doesn't put the conditions on here, do they?
No, and I try to remember, I put it on the actual permit,
Yeah.
I put it on this,
Yeah, but they're not on here,
not all the time.
nor would they fit on there.
No.
Right.
Yeah, this is just the application, we.
Yeah.
We put the conditions on afterwards.
So I'd entertain a motion for the board regarding the revised application for permit and application for permit instruction sheet.
As amended.
Yeah, I said revised, but sure, as amended, sure. Would you make that motion? Okay, second? Seconded. Any more discussion? Nick, thank you so much for all the work on this.
Yeah,
Really
no problem.
appreciate that.
I'll probably send it out one more time to you guys,
Okay,
just get an okay from you. And
Okay.
I'll send it to the winter, so we'll make sure it's all set.
thank you. All in favor? 4 in favor, none opposed. Perfect.
The instruction sheet, will it be attached to it now, or will it be a separate piece?
It'll be just a piece of paper.
I mean, there's instructions now, right?
Yeah.
I don't
People
know.
get those, no?
Depends who hands it to them.
Right. Well, like some people don't need like Adam, if I hand it to you, I don't need that, so Adam Gardner and stuff.
Until he does.
And then he will, you know, but he's not alone, you know, right? I mean, so,
I'm sure that Adam doesn't understand that we have any photographs.
Right, well, now I'll be like this and stuff
Right.
like that.
so no news, Gary, for us regarding the town office or anybody in the town office?
Dennis made it official, he's leaving.
Yeah, Melanie's leaving, 2 weeks.
She's
Well,
leaving,
you know, I saw the sign out there. I thought, what?
wait, Melanie's leaving the select board?
Treasurer.
Melanie.
Oh, Melanie Alexander.
Alexander.
Oh, okay.
Our maintenance guy, he's leaving tomorrow, his last day's tomorrow.
So, wow,
Wow.
wow. Wow, what are we gonna do without the treasurer?
Nick.
It's gonna-
I can see new duties coming your way. Remember, ask for a raise.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Melanie's 2 weeks, and Dennis is June 1st,
Is Melanie going to a different job somewhere, or?
not currently.
Not currently. Wow, okay, wow, all right.
Well,
Then
it's good
Dennis,
that she saw through town meeting.
and then Dennis made it official, right? June 1st, all right. Anything else we need to know?
Anybody want a job?
I know, really, some side gig, yeah.
No, I think that's it.
All right, thanks. Anybody else, anything? No? Well, let's call it a night then. 8:50.
I have something for you.